Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering the topic of driving fast. We're going to go for a little bit of a cruise here. I'm going to show you guys some of the roads around my area that I'm familiar with. These are going to be some good tips for you guys to just help you become a better driver and just gain a bit more confidence when driving faster on the road. As we all know, sometimes we like to drive a little bit faster than the speed limit, but I'm not condoning anyone go out and just speed all over their hometown because they now learned how to drive fast. All right, let's get on the road. So today we're going to be driving around in my E92 M3, and like I said before, these are roads that I'm pretty familiar with. I know the turns, I know the corners, I know the layout of everything, and that is going to bring me to my first point when it comes to driving fast. Ideally, you would like to be doing this on an actual track, somewhere off of the road, but if you don't have the ability to get to a track, finding some nice, long, bendy roads near you with not a lot of traffic, finding the right time to go, is going to help you a lot when becoming just a better driver in general. And it also doesn't mean that you really need to be flooring it everywhere to become a better driver. This is just more about, I'm going to close the valves because they're a little bit loud in this car. This is just more about learning the roads, learning the car, and having a bit of fun in your car. At the end of the day, we all just want to become better drivers and gain a bit more experience and knowledge when it comes to the actual car that we have, and really just feel the performance of these cars and just push them a bit further. So learning your roads, understanding the roads that you have around you, if not track. I mean, track would be the best option, but like I said, if you don't have the ability to get to a track, finding some nice windy country, open roads, maybe in the mountains, is always your best bet. It's also nice to just have these somewhat close to home so you can frequent these roads as often as possible and just become better and better on them as your experience goes up. The other thing that you want to do is make sure that you understand the fundamentals and the basics of the car that you own and the components on that car. I'm talking about whether the car is a rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, what kind of differential it has, is it open diff, is it limited slip, what kind of gearbox your car has. Although I'm sure if you were driving your car, you probably know whether it's an automatic or a manual. Understanding the gearing of the automatic or manual car that you have. Are they longer gears? Are they shorter gears? What kind of brakes the car that you are driving has? Are they ceramic brakes? Are they just your typical steel brakes? The suspension that your car has. Does your car have EDC? Is it electronically adjustable? Do you have coilovers, springs? It's also good to understand the weight of the vehicle. This will help you predict a little bit more about stopping power, how long it might actually take you to stop the car. And furthermore, tires. Understanding the tires that you have in your car. Are they good tires? What tread count are the tires? Do you need to heat them up before you actually get them out on the road? Make sure that they're a bit stickier. Are they all seasons? Are they summer tires, performance tires? Are they good in the rain? Lots of things to understand about your car before you just go out and think that you can drive fast everywhere. The main reason that I wanted to make this video is because I just see so many people nowadays, especially some of the younger generations and younger kids, who are crashing a lot of very high horsepower cars. A perfect example is the G80 M3. Now, when I was 16, 15 years old, the car that I first learned how to drive on only had a couple of hundred horsepower. Now I see 16 and 17-year-olds in 600 wheel horsepower G80 M3s, and Copart has no shortage of G80 M3s right now because, I mean, honestly, they're just popping up everywhere, and I think it has a lot to do with experience and the amount of power, the level of car that people are getting into right off the bat. There are a couple of different platforms with the G80 M3 in particular. You have your rear-wheel drive, you have your X-Drive, and then of course you have different modes like MDM mode. You have traction control completely off, which is super dangerous if you don't have a lot of experience. And I think that that's probably where the majority of these cars are ending up crashed. So a good tip when you guys are driving on the road, when you are coming into corners, it's always a good idea to not just be looking right in front of the car, but always at the end of the apex, the end of the corner. That will tell you how aggressive that corner is actually going to be. If you cannot see the end of the corner, then it's probably going to be a very, very tight turn. Like something like this. This is a pretty medium-sized corner. It's really not bad. I can see it all the way through. I know that I could carry a bit more speed into a corner like that without really having to stress on the car's brakes or tires, or just worry about sliding out if I'm going too fast. Now, where I live, we have a lot of roundabouts, so that's a perfect example of a corner that is going to be very, very tight because you can't see the end of the corner. You know that it's basically just a big circle. So here's one right here. You carry this all the way through and you can see, whoop, super, super tight corners. They're open corner. Another big thing to pay attention to is when it comes to the corner itself, you never want to cross over the double mustard. What is the double mustard? That is going to be the two yellow lines in the center of the road. In general, you should never be crossing those lines. I see a lot of people that go to the mountains, and when they are driving on those mountain roads, they will cross the double yellow to get a bit more of a wider angle on the shorter turns. Terrible idea. That's a great way to die and potentially kill someone else. So don't do that. Stay in your lane. If you have to go slower, so be it. It's a much better alternative than risking your life or someone else's life just to have a faster time in the mountains. I'd say that's probably rule number one, never cross the double yellow. In addition to that, when you are coming up to a corner, you never want to change anything inside of the corner. You don't want to be accelerating, you don't want to be braking, and you don't want to be shifting gears. That is a great way to lose control of the car, and it's just much easier to slide the car out that way and potentially crash. You want to keep things as steady as possible in the apex. All of your braking should be done before the turn, and all of your accelerating should be done after the turn. You can imagine if you're in the middle of a corner and you brake real hard, well, that's a great way to lock up the brakes and actually just go straight while you're braking. Even though that the wheel is turned, the moment that you brake, it's going to lock up and you're going to go straight. And on the other side, if you decide to quickly accelerate in the middle of a corner, well, then you can lose the rear end. You can get away, obviously, with gently accelerating, feathering up the acceleration a little bit more to gain a bit more momentum if you came into the corner a little too slow. But again, you need to understand your car, you need to understand the differential, and you need to understand the tires that you're driving on to make sure that you can pull through that entire apex without actually sliding out. Where you see a lot of people lose cars is they end up accelerating a bit too quickly at the, like right there, at the end of the corner, which is an easy way to just lose the back end of the car, and then they don't really know how to recover it and they hit the ditch. So again, a good rule of thumb is to just make sure that you're not making any crazy adjustments inside of the corner, so you always have complete control of the car during the turn. And then once you get out of the corner, put your acceleration in. I think another important topic to cover when it comes to actually driving your car fast is just having that right state of mind. The whole reason that we come out here and we drive our cars on these roads is to just enjoy the car, maybe become a better driver, maybe just to relieve some stress. These cars have a way of being therapeutic for some of us. And so just remember, if you are going to come out here and decide to, drive the car fast on these roads, that you're not angry. You don't want to be taking your frustration out on the road, because then you can just make irrational, emotional decisions while you're driving and end up crashing, hurting yourself, hurting someone else. It's just important to be responsible and have the right mindset when you're going out for a drive. Another important topic to bring up is braking. So when it comes to driving and just driving fast in general, if you are going to do so, make sure that you're in an area that is not around a bunch of cars. You don't want to be riding people's butts with your cars. One thing that I learned going to the BMW Performance Driving School is that it takes a really long time for a car to stop, especially if you're going over 40 miles an hour. That is something that I think a lot of people people don't quite understand until they've gone through these types of courses that it is just extremely unsafe to be riding people's butts, to be too close to the back of their bumper when you're driving, let's say 40 or plus miles per hour. It takes a really long time for a 3,500, 4,000 pound car to stop. So if someone were to get in an accident in front of you and you're only 10, 20 feet away from the back of that rear bumper, you are inevitably going to make impact with that car. It's always just a good idea to leave a bit of breathing room between the car in front of you and yourself. Wait until you find some open roads to where you can start to open it up a bit more, start attacking the corners a bit faster, and that's really where you are going to learn how to drive your car and drive it better. Another important factor is to understand the limits of your vehicle. The best place to do this is going to be at a track, specifically a drift pad. Some tracks actually have just an open circle where you can really put your car into the corner and just see where that point is where it breaks loose and no longer holds traction. This is a great way to find out how fast you can actually take the car in a corner and at what radius until the car just no longer wants to hold on anymore. Every tire has a breaking point. Sometimes you just have to find that breaking point, but having the right place to do it is really, really important. If you don't have access to a track, go to just a vacant, open, abandoned parking lot. Start doing some figure eights, start doing some circles, and just see where the car starts to let out a little bit. And that'll give you a good idea as to what it feels like when the car actually does lose control. Because a lot of times when people crash these cars, it's because the car has lost control and they don't know how to recover it. Recovery is obviously really important if you're going to try and slide around the back of a car. Now, the more torque, the more power, it's going to be a lot easier to get that car to whip out and keep it drifting. But what it really comes down to is being able to actually save the car. When you get into a corner and the tires actually let loose, you want to be able to make sure that you don't just send that thing into the ditch. You want to be able to bring it back straight and make sure that you stay on the road. So recovery and understanding the limits of your car are very important. Here's a tighter turn. I can't really see the end of it. Could have taken it a lot faster. But again, if you're not familiar with the roads, it's a good idea to just kind of cruise through those roads a little bit before you just start stomping the gas into every corner blindly and you have no idea how fast you can actually take these corners. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Not getting into anything too technical here, you guys. These are just the basics. Understand your car, understand the road, understand the fundamentals of driving fast in the corners, and just try to do so in a safe and responsible manner and have fun with your car, man. The more that you learn your car, the more fun that you can have with it. And you're just not intimidated by the car anymore. You feel much more connected to the car. It almost feels like that car is just an extension of you, and you can really make it do what you want to do, and you can do so with much more confidence. It's also a good idea to make sure that when you are in the corners, always have your hands on the steering wheel, 9 and 3. This is going to be the best way for you to have full stability of the car and the steering wheel. None of this, none of this, none of this. Make sure that you have both of your hands on the steering wheel. It's just the safest way to do it. If you ever go to a track and you ever ride with an instructor, they will always tell you to never take your hands off of the steering wheel unless you are shifting. That is the only time that you should be taking your hands off of the steering wheel. So anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. These are just a few tips to help you guys become better drivers and drive faster, but in a safe and responsible manner. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like it. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe. But we will see you in the next one. Thank you. Peace out.